Hello Blender folks, welcome and welcome back to Pxy-VERSE. Yes, so today we start differently because it's 2026, there are different projects and opportunities going on. So what I have in mind here is that I need to build a whole set of characters, cast, and not all on my original universe necessarily, but in the same style somewhat. But I want to make 3D assets for some products also. So this is an old idea, but now I have a plan on Instagram to do something about that. So I still intend for whoever here in the channel that is waiting for rigging tutorials this year. I have a plan to work on shorts, right? YouTube shorts or short formats, that crap. But yeah, it's and make some very useful tutorials, rigging tutorials, maybe animation tutorials, maybe whatever, rigging animation tutorials on this format. Lightweight, very lightweight. It doesn't mean that it will be easy and lightweight to build, but I will try gradually. Let's see how I can do that. Meanwhile, I also intend to keep doing live streaming regularly, maybe not every day, but somewhat regularly on YouTube. But I don't want to stream rigging anymore, as I have been doing forever, sometimes with some interruptions. I will hence try to build these live streaming sessions on different subjects, such as this idea of 3D assets and 3D character making. Yeah, because this is often more interesting. You can see the workflow. It's much more attractive than rigging, and sometimes it might involve rigging as well, but it's more about making of the assets. My idea is to be building the rigging stuff as a homework for myself, so not online. It also helps me focus a little more. It's rigging online. It's very exhaustive and vicious, so I'm making up my mind on that thing. And also it's not often, usually it's not very attractive anyways. Tutorials is probably, rigging tutorials probably more attractive. And I don't know too much about animation, 3D animation workflow as live stream. I believe this has more potential, especially if it's like some storytelling idea, but that will be for the future. So let's start here. What I have here to do is that I'm gonna start a new character, and for this, well, first I'm a bit lost here in the size of this thing. So this is 2 meters tall, that's correct. All right, so I'm gonna be cheating, right, reusing some elements, but this will be done carefully because the skeleton probably I'll use mostly the same, right, reuse for rigging, but not the body. I will use the body reference. So let's append here. I don't want to link stuff. We're gonna, or maybe linking is better. I don't know. It's almost the same thing, but I'm more used with linking. So I want to bring Dorothy template, and I need to bring probably objects, so it should bring everything, I assume. So it's the skeleton, right? But I don't see. It's an object, right? It's the armature. Usually it's the first one Okay, so it's there. So I want this one. And I will also, well, we're gonna bring this first. We see that this doesn't actually work. So instead we're gonna append, of course. So I'm doing this wrong. So this append, I'm gonna append the collection entirely, which is link Dorothy. So it will bring everything and then we can just reorganize stuff, right? I'm gonna clear the asset here. This, for some reason, gonna move this into a widgets. Yeah, it's all widgets, so we don't care about this. Alright, so next, the rig types will also be different. Probably I'm gonna delete all these costumes here because it's a new character. I don't want to use any of this. Maybe the structure of the boots. Yeah, maybe the structure of the boots. So yeah, because they have something related to the rig, which is interesting. So we're gonna delete all that. Clear this one. Delete, change this, so cloth, let's call this, this character has not a name yet, the one in the screenshot, but let's see, I have a list of characters here. There'll be a furry character that will have like, I have many furry types. This is for the story, the universe. I won't tell what this is about exactly. I had an idea to improve that. It was growing over time, and then yesterday I picked like 15-20 minutes to like engage in imagining the world. Even if I didn't have any idea, I forced myself right to get some time to imagine, try to get inspiration, try to think on something, and then suddenly after several minutes I start to have some connection, and then things start to flow, and then I had some, not brilliant idea, yeah, brilliant in relation to the sluggishness of my mind regarding the project. So turns out that I have like, I would have like a lizard dragon girl, something like that. Then there will be a bee girl. There would be a, yeah, the fox girl is known. Then there would be a wolf girl. Yeah, the wolf girl is probably the one that I'm making. But as for her name and her physique, I'm still thinking. Yeah, okay, I think I know she will be. Okay, maybe she would be like, yeah, in principle, could be a princess, Pxy-VERSE, but she's not like. Yeah, I think I can change this. Okay, like let's change that. All right. Yeah. So Rebecca would be one of the possibilities. We'll see. We can change this. We can change those things. So here we're gonna just call boots because we don't know what that will be. We don't want this urban. We're gonna change this to Yeah, I'm gonna delete any materials. Well, maybe those materials will still be useful, like recreating them, right? The only thing that I don't want though is... Okay, we don't want to be looking at the materials because it can be confusing for our workflow right now. The rig doesn't really matter right now, so you can totally hide it. This mesh, I'm gonna make something different now because the character that I'm making here, what matters more is the proportions. So at any time I can revert, pick the face that will be different, probably even the topology, maybe not. Okay, so we don't want the proxy. The eyes we can hide for now. This stuff we can hide for now. The hair probably can reuse something, so we're gonna make it simple like this. So I just want to look at the body right now, and we don't want this stuff here, although in the end, let's see. Yeah, I might be creating a different... What is this? Of course, we need this. All right. So I also need to bring in the grease pencil. So it's just one object. We delete this. So in this collection here, we're gonna bring... So I need to save here. We're gonna save this in other projects maybe. Nah, we're gonna still save in characters here. So we'll call her Pxy-VERSE for now. So I want the grease pencil, and the grease pencil is an object. Is this really an object? No, I think this is not an object. This is the mesh, there, no. Okay, it's this thing. Oops, but that bring all the miserably that bring that. Okay, so let's I don't understand, so we gonna try to bring the grease pencil then. It's probably this one. Okay, and this is indeed a grease pencil. We have this displacement, but no problem. This we can just readjust. I have the calculations for that. So basically we use this bone as the new parent. Okay, so whatever. So basically, this is strategy is to have two bones. This is just for the model sheet, so I can draw in grease pencil. I calculate the model sheet from the... Yeah, this leverage here is because of the some driver, but we can... There are many ways to solve that. Okay, let's save here again, and let's get here to the point of... You see the head is not on the top, so we just need to... Okay, let's just... Okay, use this, that's fine. So momentarily this is blocked. We can start working on this. Alright, so what to do now? I have that model sheet, I have the drawing in front of me, and I don't want to... I have to draw a model sheet here based on the mesh, yeah, but we can maybe turn it into a wireframe. We can lock it. I want a secondary grease pencil. So Shift, Control C, Control V, right? And so by doing this, I have all these settings here, so I can reuse even the materials. Though I would like to, because remaking those settings for grease pencil can be very annoying, right? It's difficult. It's not too hard, but it's not trivial. If you have zero experience in grease pencil, or if you're not using this for like weeks, then it's certainly not very intuitive. It's been improving over time a lot, but it's still very far from being very intuitive. And various tricks like mirroring and stuff like that, they are dealing with materials is not easy. But here, this character doesn't really require, the one that I'm gonna make, doesn't really require a lot of attention here. It doesn't need to be perfect, I mean, so we can just look for... Yeah, so there's even two versions here of the... So this is old, this is why we don't care. I probably can even... Yeah, we can clean up these things. Maybe we can have a back view. Sketch. Okay, so this will be important. there's a Blender version, I think Blender 5.1, where they finally are bringing colors to the grid. Yes, so that will solve a lot of problems, and that will be in March. Yes, this month, very soon, I think they will release that, and that will be a game changer. So for this base grid, maybe it was me that requested that, or I made some requests, I think. Anyways, so we want a sketch that will be something like this, right? So we can really see the proportions, what we'll need to make this investigation. I'll keep this just in case I want to check something. So we're gonna make a sketch here, like a loose sketch. And this one really why can't I something seems to be locked here. Okay, of course it's locked here. There we go. So this is just a reference for the size, because in the computer screen it's very hard to draw this, to have this idea of space. The resolution is terrible, so it's very bad in my experience to draw. It's not trivial. You have to adapt a lot of things, adapt workflow, so it's very poor. Technology sucks. So this is why like this is not the screen that I'm using. It's a smart TV, but it's not too much. It's like I don't know, it has a height of maybe almost 30 centimeters height, and wideness of maybe 40 centimeters, not very large. But the resolution sucks, so it's helpless. Even if it was bigger than that, it wouldn't help too much. I just can't zoom. Yeah, it's. So what I want to do here is, yeah, I'm looking to the, also the screen. I cannot. It's not portrait, right? So it's a landscape screen, right? So I can't draw the the simplest page. You see how bad the technology is. It was never thought to be as a drawing thing, right? You need a portrait screen to draw this kind of stuff in a resolution screen like this one. So, but we'll still succeed. So this character here, she has, the Dorothy template has like 7, right? Less than 7, like 6. No, it's actually 7 and no, hold on. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's like 6.5 tall, heads tall. That is equivalent to the mesh, indeed, right? So this was this character that I'm making on a slightly variation of the style should be even more elongated and flexible and cartoony. So that means that we probably go from yeah, I'd still start from the head style here, so it will be here, right? And from here I start to, yeah, I need to draw, right? She still needs to be straight though. So you see, we're gonna make this elongated. So she might even reach the 7-head stall, right? That could be nice. And I want her to have some sort of disproportionate, maybe I'm getting inspired by garbage drawings out there. I mean, just some fancy ideas get contaminated by these patterns. All right, so I want to make a bit more exaggerated feature. It's cartoony, so we can also, the ankles or the, let's say, the hips can be a bit wider, but not too much. I'm not so gonna, just here maybe I have to, in order to exaggerate this, you might need to, so it's not too much exaggeration, it's just a little. So we got, also here we need to be careful. She's a bit decentralized, so I'm just it doesn't matter here where the circle is for this drawing. Is just a sketch, as long as it stays proportional and it matches this height. And maybe it might not, we'll have to readjust this some structures here. Yeah, maybe we'll see that later. I'm not getting this pose right. Yeah, it was better before. So maybe I got this a bit. Let's remake this entire thing. Also, let's do the face, it will help. So basically, this one will make this style a bit more, yeah, so I'm gonna make the chin a bit more down. I don't care why the brush is like that. Doesn't bother. I can draw with that. Yeah, let's do the, okay, so this eye will be something like this. So this is the lid crease, right? Same here. And here I already get the cheek, the upper cheek, right? And here we might have some eyelashes, right? So for the nose, I'm not sure exactly what to do for this. If it will be a... Yeah, like a tiny nose for her. The mouth, yeah, let's just look for which kind of... It really looks bad in this grease pencil material. Hold on, we have some... What is it? Welcome, a domestic. What is this? Yes, so this is the modeling, or not yet the modeling, it's the model sheet making of a future wannabe 3D character Furry, right? Probably a wolf girl, I'll decide in the end, but here we're gonna... I'm drawing the reference from that drawing that you see in the thumbnail of the video, right, of the stream. If you refresh, when you clicked, yeah, so I'm gonna make that. So right now I'm just in the model sheet, right, but soon this will be finished. Very cool, thanks. Yes, so let's get, yeah, this. I have a project now for whole cast of additional cast of furry like characters of the universe, and that will be kind of crazy. Yeah, I got some plot ideas for that, so she will be one of them. I'm not sure how her hair will be like, so here we're just gonna do some variations. I don't know. She doesn't have ears, like the ears are here, right? And we are gonna blush here. Okay, we are gonna, what else? The hair, yeah, there will be some bangs here. Okay, something like that, right? Maybe I skip to the original design, I'm not sure. Anyways, I'm using a bit of reference from inspiration from some 2D traditional animation cartoon styles, and even that one has been hotel, which happens to be, like, before I knew that style, I already was drawing characters more or less a bit similar, let's say, like that. And so I'm very inspired by that approach. I'm gonna remake this thing. But this is the... How long have you used Blender? Okay, so like, let's say that professionally, although I can't tell myself right now professional, but skillful, yes. But skillfully, I can say that I'm using Blender since late 2021. So that would be like 5 years. About, yeah, 22, 3, 4, 5. No, less than, about 4 years and a half, maybe. Yeah, 4 years and a half. I've been using Blender like more skillfully. And However, I used Blender for a long time before that, since 2012, but I was super nubbish. There were not lots of tutorials out at that time, right? So I was just chilling around with repeating the same stuff over and over again, basic modeling without any structure, without any understanding of mesh topology and all these concepts. And Blender also was not that good, but I was even worse. So I was just chilling out with as a hobby for a very long time, and only occasionally I try something more advanced, but it was very hard. I didn't have time to focus. It was only when I decided, now I'm gonna learn 3D CG, late 2021, like 4 years ago, so that I actually started to become good at Blender. And it just took a few months. And what really got me, they say that Blender has a very slow learning curve. And I suffered from that. I really felt that. But as I mentioned, in the early 2010s, mid 2010s, right? Like 2015, there are not a lot of tutorials about Blender as there is now. But what really got me into learning Blender, like logic, the Blender UI, everything, was doing rigging characters. Because I'm coming from a background of 2D art and even 2D traditional animation, right? Animation drawing and stuff like that. Web comics, comics drawing, and so I had some where I mentioned in this. Okay, so hold on. Yeah, so hold on, we need to move this first. Let's move this to here. I was doing the drawing in the wrong layer. Here, still not? Okay, because it's locked. Okay, here. We're gonna get this and M to move to here. No, it's locked. But okay, we need to unlock. Okay, let's do it again. Now, yes, now we can. Now it's here. Yeah, it was moved. So we got here. So I'm gonna not mix these things up. Yeah, now she's working. So let's. Why not reuse? Now this one is bad. Let's just delete. No, let's. How do you do this? Where is the brush? Where is the grease pencil here? Okay, here. Yeah, this will be a bit confusing for the. I need to rely on the other leg. It's still counting as more than. Okay, maybe we can place it here, right? One good thing is to try to count the height. Like, for example, let's see. How much do you have here towards the crotch? We'd have like 0.7, and let's say about from here towards the crotch we have, yeah, so the legs are still larger, so maybe we could get in between. Now this is yeah, so the legs are very tall in relation to slightly more, right? 0.05. I think it fits. It's good to simplify sometimes these things, but I think this will work. Can I move this? Apparently not, so I'm gonna just remove that. Okay, so this is where it works. So it's 1/4 more. She looks good to me. Let's see. I need to move the chat in order to read what's going on. Is this for a show, a game? What is this for? Yeah, good question. Well, basically not for a game. Maybe a game in some time, because when you build these assets, especially in 3D, for example, there's a lot of reusability potential. I'd say more in 3D than in 2D, right? And this is something that led me into 3D art, by the way, CG. But it will be for this will be a character for selling, but maybe a variation of that. I will also have it for a show. Yeah, so I want to. It will be part of the cast of the characters of a sci-fi fantasy universe, you know, something like that. This is one of those furry characters that needs to be implemented. It's not the main character, it will be some sort of, even not secondary, tertiary characters, really not. It's the main character. There is a villain, which will be the antagonist, more than villain. It will be, which already exists, it will be a fox girl, right? And that is a very important central character in the plot. So this one will be like, not a follower, but someone like that followed the path. So it's not worth talking about the story, the what happens, but it will be in space, like futuristic, but with mixed up with some fantasy elements, you know, spiritual stuff, like anime stuff, whatever. Or I don't know if you watch, I don't know, about a few years ago I watched a show that interested me. It was Shira and the Princess of Power, something like that. It was a series in Netflix featuring the old franchise, but remade, right? Reboot, something like that, of the franchise, and it was with it was in 2D. It was done by nothing more, nothing less than that big company, right? The Shrek company. So they were very keen in the emotional, the sentimental aspect, character development in a pace of infantile pace, but still, I think it's just very well done, and that had some fantasy, sci-fi fantasy elements, something like that, right? So not that I want to do something, it's just a random reference that I've just remembered. Maybe it's popular. And the thing is that we're gonna use whichever we have at hands for this story, right? So I don't need to go for the anatomy elements here. This is good enough. I believe I got this. Since the torso is plus the head is smaller than all these portions, so I think this will work in the end. So this is a good sketch to start with. Hello, Levi Bird, welcome. So we just finished the sketch, and now I need to sort of adapt this to a model sheet, and definitively I would need to make this if I want to go for good proportions, or maybe not. Maybe I can cheat. But it's very important. Okay, so making model sheets, that's technical drawing for organic characters, is very, very difficult in my opinion. It's very hard. So maybe I can build the, so I'm gonna hide this. I may be able to use this reference here. I'm making a content creator character. Hold on. I'm making a content creator's character, and I'm currently having trouble UV mapping. Any tips? Okay, so the UV mapping, it is very, very like puzzling stuff. I was decimated for a long time. It's not actually very hard. There are some principles, of course. There are a lot of possibilities, especially after the implementation of geometry nodes in Blender, but you don't need to touch that. The basics of UV mapping, UV unwrapping, all that, and for the textures, like for example, there are certain principles which are very important. So contextually, let me share some ideas that I believe it's important, but I'm gonna be fast here. I have a, on that, sorry, I just need to, so let's get in the model here, this one. Let's isolate it, let's change it back to textured, and texture, okay, so what we have here, so it's very important to be able to paint on the 3D mesh, but not always this is good for various reasons. Sometimes it's not very responsive, but you need to learn how to mask the, right, how to mask for that. So you can use the seams L to select the you can use L to, you see this seam here, so I can use the seams to make the L selections, and I can mask, for example, if I just want to paint on top of this, Control Tab 9 is the texture paint, so I can texture paint either from here. You need to keep saving this all the time. Blender now asks, latest Blender tells you to save if you forget, so this is a bit improved. So you can mask here, and then you can say this, I won't be able to paint here, but I will be able to paint here. So usually you need this end panel here to address a lot of cool features here, otherwise it's very hard. But you see, but you cannot paint, so you see I cannot paint here because it is paint masked, and I can do either from here or from here for some reason. Okay, here you need to go on the, not the UV editor, but on the image editor, Shift F10 for both, they swap, then you need to go paint, and so here now I can, but this is not a mask here. I think the mask here doesn't, so you see I can still, if I mask here I can have this precision, right? If I were to mask here, I don't know how to do it, it's something they need to improve. However, if you're still modifying your mesh during this process, then there are certain options. There is something about locking the verts, the edges. I don't know, I don't remember, it's something that I learned very late. It will be in the UV editor. Something about locking the edge, so then even if I change the mesh, the active shape, no, this is a shape key, never mind, let's return to the basic. Okay, even if I change something in the geometry here, you see it's UV sync. Yeah, but this is not a good example. So sometimes if you're editing here, you might have disrupted the edge, so all your mesh gets offset, your UVs get offset from the painting, the texture image, and then so all this stuff gets displaced because you changed the mesh. and there is a way to lock the contours. You have to make it manually, like select, but once they are locked, they are locked. I just don't remember what's the name of this technique and where it is to be found, but it's something about locking the seam, the contours. I can move them, but they cannot be moved by some change in the, so I can still make some additions here without making this already UV unwrapped stuff to get outside the boundaries that are fixed, so I can preserve. So here you see I had an accident because I didn't know the technique. Now I know the technique, so I just it was too late for this, so I have to texture paint these things, but that's okay. So I need to search where this is, but it's something about locking the UVs for the contour. So then you just lock the contour ones for each part that you did, and that should work. So sorry, I can't. So these are the rest is about UV unwrapping, organizing the seams. There are many approaches to this, but in principle there are some patterns they share, and yeah. So essentially, and there is another technique that simplifies the, I think it's in edit, no, it's an option, maybe it's on texture painting tool, something that will help preserve when you edit the mesh. Also, it will adapt the scale of the mesh in relation to the UVs. You have to ask me in a Blender comment, in a comment in the video, then I can find the links for you if you don't want to, if you're having difficult searching. But those are very, because I don't do this all the time, but it's very important to know what you can do to make the UVs workflow better and more consistent. So this is the fundamental things. One of the most important things that I remember, that now I cannot forget this, that these things exist, because they are so much important to my workflow, because I rig a lot, and then for rigging sometimes I need to change even the mesh topology. Okay, so I hope that helps some notions here. So let's go here for the this thing. So my idea would be to duplicate this model so that I can totally break it, or let me think. No. I don't need to restart modeling from scratch, but I want to apply a different mesh topology for this model. Yeah, so what you're gonna do, you're gonna actually do this, and I'm gonna indeed reuse this the same mesh. I'm gonna delete this one because I think this will be useless at this point. We're gonna try to move this here a bit closer. Maybe it's a bit too big, we'll find out. So, I'm gonna skip the head developments here. As we're gonna rescale this from this point here. So I need to match. Yeah, we're gonna match the base of the feet on the floor here. And why I don't want to, I want to change the mesh topology for this character. I want to try new stuff, and I want to test a concept, an approach to rigging in which the mesh topology, there is a message from, no, it's not here, sorry. It's because I'm in Discord and it also at the same time here. So I want to, there is a notion in which it works for the mouth rigging, sometimes eye rigging, into the mesh geometry and the topology. They need to be very regular in order for the skinning method to deform more regularly. And this was applied here, for example. So I've saw this principle in some cartoony mouth rigging tutorials for Blender, but also a documentation that is called the, for free, it's the Universal Sonic Mouth Rig. And so you see this geometry for the lips is very regular. So I want to see if by making the, although it might be counterintuitive, there's a chance that using a much simpler and regular mesh topology, maybe with a few more face loops, yeah, but we can have better results for certain shapes. So I'll have to start applying it gradually. It's sad because it's a lot of work to do that, but I still want to try, and maybe I could do this on a preset base mesh, but we'll have some fun doing this because you see I'll also be changing the shapes. So here we're gonna, so not just changing the mesh topology but the mesh geometry. So I want a very regular mesh, which is ludicrous, of course. The problem is that I won't have exactly the shapes, and this mesh has a lot of wave painting, so they will all be broken anyways. So let's start simplifying, like here we could have like a triangle. So for example, we can dissolve this and merge this, and maybe yeah, so breaking the all the patterns here of the mesh topology. So to have all sort of flattened, there are various ways to achieve this, right? Maybe once, no, this will be bad. We don't want this face look here, right? So probably what we can do is continue from this one, right? J. Also, I think we can take off this edge crease for now. smooth tool, right? Also, simplifying here would be better also. I see a lot of rigs which are done, right? They work even though they are simplified. And I believe it is totally possible. Here we have a special vertex, so we're gonna actually try to preserve it. After we can subdivide this as much as we want, but for now, looks like I lost the creased. Yeah. Okay, let's bring it back then. Here, I'm not sure how I'm gonna solve that. Here it's simple, right? We want to straighten this geometry here. Here we have a different setup. What you can do here is, yeah, this collapsing here. Let's see. We might have some, of course, you'll need some exceptions like this. This character would have big breasts. I need to practice this in 3D, even in 2D, but here it should be a bit better to understand that. Here we can suppress this, we can probably dissolve this. We need to count also what we need here. Yeah, like, do we need this inner one? No, we don't need. Maybe we need. Sounds important, right? But maybe this one is not that important. This will cause wreak havoc in the UVs, but that's fine because we are not we're gonna make a entirely new system, right, for that. My arm is going asleep. I don't know how you call this in English. Okay, like this is not good, right? We want to simplify this geometry here. It's too complex. And we want just a very regular geometry. Yeah, some anatomical feature will suffer from this thing, right? But the thing is that the new character design is for a way more cartoony approach, so it doesn't need all this the strategy is different, right? So it's more about subdivisions and regular geometry, and it should probably work. So like here we could maybe dissolve this and bring this up. Then we dissolve this, maybe we dissolve this too. Maybe here we, I don't know, Shift B, no, Control B, yeah, something like this. Move this down. Yeah, so stuff like that, right? Now this is a fairly more regular geometry. This part, let's see. Also, I've seen professional, not sort of professional projects, but I know some Spider-Man rigged model, something like that. Very regular geometry, so it's inspiring to check. Maybe it kind of works. It depends on the Spider-Man characters usually need to pay attention to this, because Spider-Man is assumed to have a lot of good deforms because of the acrobatics of what the hero can do, right? It doesn't mean that every Spidey will be good for the rig will be accurate, but it tells something, right, of the intention of whoever did it. So I think it's interesting to take into account. So here we're gonna have to address this part. Yeah. I leave that part like this, but what I don't want to keep we have a trouble with this part though. This should go to the bottom, right? Oh, I see. You need a relax effect, stuff like that, right? With the sculpt tools, but this is let's hope this is not a mistake. So I have this, okay, this sounds to be correct. We have this one, which maybe it's good to keep like that, right? Okay. Now for the limbs, right? The joints, right? I want to simplify this. I'm not sure if I do this, can be weird. Oh yeah, I know what to do. We're gonna do this, and maybe that will be the way to go. So here I don't even want this, as strange as it may sound like. Like with my experience of rigging, if I rig this and it works, then okay, it works. I will, if I can rig this stuff. And okay, it is what it is. Here I think I've lost something. Because in rigging, right, at some point, if you explore rigging like I did, and a lot of people do, so it's, well, maybe it doesn't happen to everyone, but there is this idea of you get tired of, you see that nothing works, or it works but it's very tedious over and over again. You want to find different approaches that are more economical, more satisfying, grant more freedom, and this is not easy. It will take an entire rigging techniques revolution, right? It's not about creativity on the software only, although this counts. It really is the technology sucks, right? But there is hope to. Now what I mean is that there are ways to eventually we look for strategies which are more convenient. I would call them more elegant. And so this is where I am right now. I actually always wanted them actually, but it took me a lot of time to actually, because I didn't do any school of this, so I had to learn, as many of us, directly in the internet, and this is not very safe in terms of time saving. You need to be very organized, and even if you are very organized, I mean very organized in the sense of getting what you really need. The problem is knowing what you really need, and that can also be complicated. Because there are unknowns if you don't have contact, and it's very abstract. You need to know concretely what takes to do good rigging for 3D animation, for many other contexts. And then okay, so here we have this topology which I'm not sure, so I'm gonna leave it as it is. Let's try to look for the shapes here. So this character is much thinner, so because of the cartoony thing, so we're gonna have to adapt this in some way. So the crotch is also not matching. We'll have to change this. We could say it's in the middle, right? or even lower. Although it could be weird if we place it for, I think this will be very weird. Yeah, it will be very weird. So let's leverage it. Like halfway maybe here. It already looks a bit weird. Let's catch it there, yeah. Who knows, just exploring that. Just for me to remember that he has bigger breasts than my average characters. Okay, this looks fine. Then with subdivision surface modifier, this is also important. She would be okay. Why the I know what's happening. So this simplify. Need to just get this. Simplify 0. There we go. So we could edit with the subdivision. Oh, actually, we're missing something. Shifty 0.5. No, 0.3. This is for games. We don't need this. What I wanted. Oh yeah, I wanted this thing. To have access to this effect here. So a lot of people will tell to be very wary of this method, this technique. Yes, indeed, it can totally break the mesh. But sometimes it's very useful because you're seeing in real time during editing what's happening to the mesh, right? Something very weird here is happening. We need to expand this okay, a bit better. This part, because I removed the bone structure here of the thoracic cage, will be a bit more tricky to understand the anatomy, but should yeah, it's cartoony, so it should be feasible in spite of all this situation, right? Also, because of the subdivision, we probably can simplify some of this mesh, right? Or is this gonna be too bad for the bendy features? We'll see. I think we can simplify certain geometry. This is probably dangerous. Oh, I see. We can actually join this one here. Okay, we forgot to loop this one. I need to make this. Yeah, apparently this is just like this. we can have yeah, somewhere this triangle will exist. This is still okay. What about here? Yeah, this is still okay. We can probably do better than that in terms of regularity, but for now this seems acceptable. So there are a lot of space for the stylization aspect. I mean the aesthetics, no, the sexiness, the fetish, what you want here. But essentially, this is stylized, it's cartoony, so we can exaggerate quite a lot. As long as it looks like cartoony, bendy, regarding all these elongated torsos look, then that's fine. As long as it doesn't look terrible, then as long as it looks appealing and stylistically accurate to the idea, that should be adequate. There will be a lot of work to do still in regarding the mesh, but in this approach, because it's not a character that is defined so well by the model sheet by myself, is like one of those, like, with more freedom in this case, is like much easier to solve or to accept, right, certain results. This is why it's not my business. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because if I'm doing precisely my characters in the character designs that I charged for so long, the drawing characters, more established characters that I've been drawing like thousands, hundreds of times. So it's very hard for me to accept the results that I get in the 3D language. Even in the model sheets that I draw in 2D, it's already very hard. I've been through a lot of painful experience to trying to reach the best. I had to go back and forth, nightmarish stuff, but I learned a lot. So actually, I had even to learn to adapt my 2D drawing to the 3D aspects, three-dimensional aspects of how that, like, so it could be interesting also to sculpt manually, right? I already had a few experience with that, right? The character that you draw and vice versa. Real sculpting, not 3D garbage, right? But also 3D helps in that regard because it gives some insight on what is impossible and what is not, and what is possible, right? In a certain character design or drawing style, possible in a 3D, in the 3D dimension, because sometimes you come up with impossible, let's say like that, impossible character designs, very typical to cartoon, even anime, which is some sort of cartoon, right? Anyway, so more realistic, way more realistic drawings, they are more likely to work very good in both languages simultaneously. Of course, it will always be different, but that will be, yeah, you got the idea. So here, I'm not sure it got this thing right, but we, as mentioned, we'll be adapting those shapes in the end, so we don't need this to be critically accurate right now. Okay, as for the legs, right? I'm not sure about the feet. What should I do? The geometry here, I'll just try to adapt. I'd like to change this feet, but maybe not in this model. Yeah, maybe the feet and the hand I'll keep as it is. So the most important thing now would be to solve the problem of the not even sure I need these extra subdivisions, but since we have them, why not? Just trying to match the arm with the leg somehow. Okay, the face now, very long arms, but that should be correct, right? To no. Where's the... Okay, it's something like this, right? There, so you see the tip of the fingers, more or less from here. See, they will reach here, more or less the knee. A bit as, yeah, I think in the drawing that I've made, the arms are a bit too elongated, so the 3D model is more accurate in this sense. So that should be fine. This looks weird. I have a difficulty in this. We're also lacking geometry here to solve this. Yeah, here. There's the back part. Okay, that was it. A little better now. The face, finally, for the face. Let's see what we can get here. So hold on, let's see here. All right. Yeah, so this will be tougher without a reference of the model sheet. Crap. I think we can still do it. Let's see, this thing, we need to push that. More rounded here, maybe, yes. Here we're gonna do it more like here. The whole eye is different, yeah. Maybe here we'll have to make a huge simplification. Changing the topology here would be a... Yeah, so here folks, the model sheet would be the best approach, but I don't want to stop for that, so let's try to reach something good here with what we have, and then we can try that later. There are a lot of shrink wrapping here going on, so I have to adapt all this thing to the rig. At least the topology here should help. Yeah, also we don't need this hair, right? This ear. We can totally... remove this topology here, which might make some simplifications here. We'll see. Do you need this central thing? Hmm. This probably would be important, but it's also a lot of mess. Um, okay, let's clear the middle, whatever. Yeah, here we can do this. Let's see, the height here to be a bit hard to see, but yeah, it's somewhat a good approximation. The lower boundary, though, it's very different. Yeah, we need to make the ears and the hair that will make her look better, right? So the ears I have, I don't have too much patience for this now, but we'll have to do it. So we can extrude the ears from this part, usually. And usually, yes, it requires a specific topology in order to be good. So this could cause a lot of problems if we are not careful about this. I'll try to see if we can just keep it like this for now. I have a furry character. I know this topology is not simple to build if you want the best features. It's like more about that you have a box here inside here, and we can like do something like this. And here we have some messiness, but then and here there's certainly better approach, but here you see this already not too bad, right? So here maybe we would like to have something a bit better here, right? Yeah, like this topology is not so good right now, but whatever thing should work here. Maybe this year we should, yeah, I think sometimes can this is funnier. Okay, so maybe this is good enough. What about the mouth positioning? Yeah, the nose I can't be totally sure, but yeah, this is just because of this thing here. I don't need that structure right now. It's a proxy mesh for the mouth rig. It's an advanced cartoony mouth rig, which will require some serious handling, but for now we can ignore it. What I cannot ignore is are some features here of the eyes. So let's see, the mouths will be about, yeah, we need to grab this mouth and place it somewhere a bit higher for this character. And really doesn't need to respect the lots of proportions here. We're just gonna try to get something more interesting for this silhouette here. But we need at least to maintain the shapes regular. So I think this can do. Alright, so yeah, she's looking fine. The maybe here. Yes, yes, that's fine. I can always improve those things. Just don't know here, more rounded or more. I think it's sharpened. We made a mistake here. This part will be a bit hard to solve right now. But she's okay. We need now to get the hair and but I'm gonna make something different for these features here. So these shape keys I have to readapt, but they are not the priority here. They are character design constant shape keys, the only shape keys that I use usually. But there are usefulness in the technique of corrective shape keys, or actually no, I mean facial shape keys, especially if you're using nowadays the subdivision, no, the shrink wrap modifier. There are some facilities. It improves the potential of the shape key. Okay, so let's accept this. Let's see how this looks. I think it's very distorted. Yeah, we won't be able to solve this unless we fix the eye. So I don't want to be touching that now. We're gonna look for the hair. we're gonna delete this one. We're gonna remove some of these structures here. And here is yeah, we have to find a way to build these things appropriately. So the best thing will be maybe to be creative here in the sense of making new things. Yeah, being courageous enough to not start everything from scratch, but yeah, so we're getting somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I don't use those things. Yeah, so the eyeballs is one of the first things that we'll need to solve, right? The adaptation, yeah, it's going well. Without the eyeballs, we won't be able to know the position of this. The model sheet will be super important here, but it does look, yeah, it looks accurate more or less. We don't know. Maybe I do whatever that looks good in 3D and then I decide to make it better, right? So, and Let's see, what else could we consider? The mesh geometry, yeah, we simplified. I've just decided not to touch so much some parts like the joints here. Yeah, some tricky parts of the complex joint I didn't touch. And the hand and the feet I decided not touch. And the facial, just certain, I could touch this part, but also it's complicated. So we're gonna try to preserve this geometry here. We'll have though to change the settings here. So this will be more tedious and time consuming, but creating from scratch this rig is also not super fantastic. So but it's perfectly doable. I just need focus, and now I don't have any more. It's late. Thanks for watching, folks. That was it for today. Hope that was inspiring enough. Tomorrow we'll bring back this character. Maybe I had improved it a lot already. And of course, one good step would be to fix the maybe having to re-unwrap texture paint, do a proper fur texture for this character. And then the most important part for me, besides doing the model shit and this adaptation, will be to see how this cartoony rig will work in terms of posing, right? So for now, for me, it doesn't look very skinny, right? Of course, I've had the freedom to change some stuff here, but I believe it would be interesting to see it deform. Also, we could try to get here, just remember, for that matter, maybe make this part more rounded, and by doing this it will improve certain aspects of the mount rig that is very hard on the original character, which is very triangular, and this part is very complicated if it remains that rectangular. Yes. So with the rig set, I just have to, I'm gonna reuse the whole skeleton, right? Because it has the control rig, the deform rig, and we'll see how this will have to probably re-wave paint. Right now, if I try to, is it really? I don't know how it adapts to the, no, it didn't adapt, so we'll have to this will be very terrible. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, also, why it's not working? Oh, it's no, okay. Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's there we go. It works. Okay, so yeah, because I didn't change too much, the probably something will break horrible somewhere. Yeah, certainly we'll need some revision anyways, but Yeah, because I was attentions enough to in the majority. Yeah, the it looks cute, this profile, and the eyes are not ready. But we can see many things working here. Here we have some problems, right? But that's okay. I, it's the waves, right? That broke. But okay, we're gonna fix all that, and then we'll have this new character, and then we can create more characters. That will be like a the cool thing about this project here is that this is a new base mesh for me for this. Oh, forgot the tail. I have a tail. Yeah, I'm gonna bring this from another model even, yeah, which already exists. So it will be a new base mesh, stylized base mesh for this kind of more cartoony thing. So I'm still thinking to simplify, like cut off a lot of this, because the subdivision surface modifier might be able to handle most of this. This is not the if you see the characters has been hotel, this kind of character designs for, you'll notice that the features like the limbs, they are very like they are not as shapy like this, right? Anatomical. This is my vice, right? My approach, and I need to be careful to reduce these aspects. It's just balls and essentially you need to simplify this stuff, and having less geometry probably help. But right now I'm a bit scared because if I want the geometry to be regular, and if you have too large face they start to become rectangles, and so they don't are squares, and then this might not be good enough for my experimentation. So you want mini squares, but I still want this to be low poly or medium poly at least, yeah, low medium poly, something like this. So we can't afford to have this kind of face. We need to, for the good tests, we need a bit more, or just a better rearrangement of this. You see, this is not good for what I want. So so far it is working, so that is it. Thanks for watching, folks, and tomorrow we'll be back. Have a nice week.